morning. I am Dick Wolf, and this is the Morning Buzz with Dick and
Tina Shang.
Good morning, Tina.
Good morning. This feels a little bit like deja vu.
Yeah, well, we've done this before, which is her way of saying that. We're having some issues here. This is our old studio we're using, and I think after we check out the weather and stuff, we'll be telling you about the fact that we're going to be moving to a different studio in the not-too-distant future.
Yes, hopefully very soon.
Hopefully very soon. But in the meantime, you'll see us here not so much live as will be taped until we get the move finished. In the meantime, it was chilly this morning. I had to start the car and turn on the defroster. Oh, my goodness gracious. No, I'm not complaining about the weather, dear. My wife gets after me for complaining about the cold. So I'm not going to complain about the cold, but Michael, show it to us. Show how cold is it? Well, it looks nice for this afternoon, up to 61 degrees.
No, that's tomorrow. Today today the high is 49. Not too bad still, near 50.
I'm keeping the sweater on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, until Easter.
Well, I don't know. Until tomorrow, the high is 61. So it's supposed to be sunny, mostly sunny and warm. So
yeah, I'm not going to complain about this weather. This has really been a pretty lovely winter spate we've been through.
It has. It's been
I think
very mild.
We should get another snowfall just to keep the snakes down, if for no other reason.
And to remind us that it actually is winter.
Oh yeah, well, my sweaters when my sweaters start showing up on my clothes pile in the bedroom, I know it's winter.
I know when I have to put on a coat before I go out in the morning, I much prefer just waking up and heading out, and not having to worry about if I have coats and scarves and hats and all of that. So, but I have 5 kids, and 3 of them are still in school, so I have to gather all that stuff up in the morning. For everybody. Got a hat, got coats, got gloves. Of course, they don't have matching gloves or anything because they lose them. But yeah, so it's a big production when it's cold out for me in the morning.
About every 4th pair matches.
Well, they actually sell socks now that are mismatched, and I love that because I don't have to worry about keeping matches. So I'm pretty sure Mom probably came up with that idea. Hopefully, you all can hear me. I know it's always a struggle. For me, but I have a cold today, so it's even worse. But I'll try to speak up, and if I sound like I'm holding my nose, and that's why.
Well, it's that time of year for colds and things, and as we said earlier, we are going to be changing locations. We won't be on the boulevard too much longer, and we can continue to receive your emails, your notes telling us about your birthdays and things like that. We're still going to do programming of some kind just about every day, and sometimes multiple times during the day. So we need your information to make us kind of a whole community event. Right.
Yeah, it's always good to have input from you folks and kind of let us know what's going on. We don't always hear about this. Is 2/3 of our team, so we don't always hear about everything that's going on without your help, so we appreciate it when you send us emails or text or comments or whatever, however you want to get in touch with us. We're here. It's really helpful for folks to help.
And that email address is info, and it's an easy address to remember, FranklinCountyBuzz.com.
Yeah, info at FranklinCountyBuzz.
Info at FranklinCountyBuzz.com.
Yeah,
excuse me.
So, Dick, you're going to tell us about a visit that you had with Jeremy Pickett in the not-too-distant future, correct?
Yes, there's a chili supper coming up, and you were supposed to introduce this piece because I'm the one that's hosting it.
Okay, all right. Well, I thought first you were going to tell us about the piece of property, and then we were going to introduce that. So I think I'm passing my cold on over here to Dick.
No, it's just a cough, and I only get it when I talk, and I should be quiet, but I can't. And what she was talking about was that the Ferris family have donated some property to the 4th District Fire Company and to build a new firehouse on. When we went out there to talk with Jeremy Pickett, and he'll be along here in a minute as soon as Tina introduces us, he told us, he says, I can't tell you today, but he says, we are going to get some new land and we'll announce it later. And later that day he did announce it. It's a very generous gift, and it's very close to where the existing fire hall is, so they're not going to have too much trouble getting things moved. And and into the no place.
This is going to help them really expand. As I understand it, they have to use, they have to do multi-use for if they have meetings, they have to move fire trucks out, and so it's kind of a big hassle for them. So this donation was from Mary and Thomas Ferris. So this will help them build a larger station and hopefully better serve the community. So we're just really happy, and thank you for the Ferris family for doing that. So now we are going to go to an interview with Jeremy Pickett and Dick Wolf.
Thank you, Tina. I'm Dick Wolf, and I'm here with Jeremy Pickett, the Assistant Chief at the Volunteer Fire Department in 4th District.
Yes, sir. 4th District.
Well, congratulations, and I'm glad to see you guys aren't working today.
Well, we're always working. That's part of being a volunteer.
I know. So what's with the chili? You've got a chili supper event coming up.
Yes, sir. Saturday, February the 4th, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Little Mountain Church of Christ. We have a chili supper fundraiser. It's going to be our first one, so we'll see how it goes.
It's the first one, but it's not your first fundraiser.
We had a barbecue last year that didn't bring much money in, so we're hoping the chili supper is a little bit better for us.
So I know a lot of this is about community building because members of the community come out here and they have supper with you and pay their money. But you don't get much tax money, so you have to fundraise to buy this equipment?
Yes, sir. Fundraising still doesn't buy this equipment. These trucks have been purchased with grant money from the federal government, from FEMA. But we apply for grants to buy our turnout gear, and from what we don't get in grants, we have to fundraise.
Well, I want to talk about these grants here in a minute, but first of all, I want to know about your chili. Is this a secret recipe of some kind?
Well, actually, Holt's Diner is providing our chili.
Oh my gosh, the Holts are involved.
Yeah, Randy,
of course they are.
Randy Holt is a good friend of mine, and he was real gracious in providing our chili. So
that's going to be that's going to make the fundraising go a little further if you don't have to buy for that. That's a great. They're good neighbors.
Yes, sir.
Well, your whole life is possible because of good neighbors, is it not?
It is. Everybody out here in the Liberty community is a good neighbor. I love living out here. So.
And they when they need something like this, they're happy to see this equipment rolling up. And you say this is bought with grants.
Yes, sir.
Grants.
These trucks have all been purchased with the FEMA Assistance to Firefighter grant.
Okay. And now this gear you have to buy separately. You know, as I understand it, you get some funds from the money every year, and you get the hotel and motel tax money every year.
It's a little over $30,000 a year from the county we get. This turnout gear will last 10 years. After 10 years, it's considered obsolete, and you have to purchase a brand new set.
Now, what's that cost?
This is about $3,000.
For the hat and the jacket?
For the helmet, jacket, pants, boots, and gloves, it's about $3,000. And if you have 10 firefighters, which we have a little more than that, $30,000 just in turnout gear.
So you got to sell a lot of chili to get that kind of money.
Well, we don't. It's going to help, at least.
Yeah.
We usually have 1 or 2 firefighters come on a year, and after they complete their basic fire training, we buy them a brand new set of gear. So it's kind of a reward for completing their training and a thank you. So.
From time to time, you post pictures on Facebook, and of course we look for them and we try to repost them on the Buzz. But you have young people out here.
Yes, sir.
Is that how you keep the firefighting ranks growing?
Well, we have an Explorer program, a junior firefighter program. We have, I guess, 12 members, and whenever they turn 18, they become a fireman, and they've already been through a lot of training. So.
And they come in for the money, don't they?
No. They all just love the fire service.
Yeah.
They just love being here, and then by the time they turn 18, it just carries over, and they do it for the training.
Okay, they get the training. Do they get into firefighter school once they become a firefighter, or does that happen beforehand?
The state of Tennessee requires you, once you turn 18, or when you join the fire department, you have 3 years to attend the basic firefighting school, which is in Belleville. So,
tell us again about that chili supper.
It's going to be Saturday, February the 4th, Little Mountain Church of Christ, which is located at 710 Old Holders Cove Road, $10 a person, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. We appreciate your support.
All right, and you heard it from the Assistant Fire Chief. So thanks, Tina. Thanks, everyone. I'm Dick Wolf, and this is Jeremy Pickett. I look cold standing there.
Was it cold that day?
It was chilly. You notice I borrowed someone's jacket.
Oh, I didn't even notice you didn't have your own on.
But the best of luck on the fundraiser, and I know it'll be delicious chili provided by Holt's Diner, just up the street here from where we are this morning.
Yeah, folks seem to really enjoy their food, so I'm sure it'll be good. And it's this Saturday?
Yes, ma'am, as he just said. And also, there's more than a dozen volunteer fire companies in this. We do live in a rural community, and they all need help. They each get around $30,000 a year operating funds out of county funds, and then an additional small grant out of the hotel tax that was levied for fire safety. And so all these companies, they need extra help. They need to buy this equipment that keeps them safe when they come to save you. So consider having a nice chili dinner or a fish fry, whatever your local fire department comes up with. Say yes, because they don't say no when you put that number and you call them to your house.
Right, and even if it's not your district, go out and enjoy the fish fry at the other district. They rely on this money so much,
It's
and
fellowship.
it's a great meal. I mean, they load you up on food, so it's a great deal too. So, you know, you don't have to cook dinner, and you get to make sure that we stay safe in our community. So go out to all of these different events.
And we're going to stay right on the subject of food because it wasn't too long ago we showed you a piece on fish attractors. That TWRA and the Tims Ford Bass Club and other folks are putting together to help expand the fishery and make it more friendly to some Florida bass, which is a strain of that grows pretty big, and trophy fishermen love these big Florida bass. So they're trying to create an environment in the lake where these new fish can take hold and build a population, and it will be great for fishing tournaments. And on that, we did talk with Jake Davis, who was at the Tims Ford Council meeting at the Tims Ford Bass Club. Try to keep those things separate here. And he made a little bit of an announcement that I think we alluded to it earlier on the buzz, but here is from not the horse's mouth. Here's from Jake Davis at the Tims Ford Bass Club.
There is now 3 high school teams in the surrounding counties for bass fishing that that are eligible for scholarships here. We just got the Franklin County one approved, along with the Coffee County approved last August. Grundy County has been in existence. The Bass Club supports those teams with funds from our tournament in the spring. The other thing we do is there is coming this spring to the Bass Club ramp here is there is a 1-day high school tournament that's going to bring about upwards of 200 boats into the area. There's also in our tournament, the 1st of April 29th, there's what we call an FLW BFL. This is a Walmart Series tournament for professional amateur type. They'll bring 150 boats in from all over the state and North Alabama. Okay. And then the one we're really proud of, and the Bass Club footed the entire bill on this, is Tims Ford, Winchester, Franklin County. We'll be hosting the Tennessee High School Bass Fishing Championship, State Championship, on May 12th and 13th. You got 300 boats coming towards the community with their families. Okay? Not hard to do a lot of math here. Well, it is hard to do a lot of math, but to give you some idea, these folks that are coming from all over Tennessee, East Tennessee, West Tennessee, they're coming from Nashville, Paris, Memphis. They're all going to be coming in here and staying for 3 to 5 days. They don't just come in and fish a tournament. When we go in and fish a bass tournament on a away event like this, we go in for at least 2 days of practice and then the tournament themselves. That's a whole bunch of hotel rooms, a whole bunch of eating to the community, a whole bunch of gas. To give you some idea, and I was real conservative, and in that book is all the numbers, and I'll try and remember them as close as I can. The Classic is a 1-day event. There was people that come here from Wisconsin, Florida, Virginia, Ohio, Indiana, and Michigan that I can remember off the top of my head. The bass, our Spring Classic held here at the club, those folks, being conservative, for that one day, will spend $53,000 to this community. Okay? That's gas in their boats, gas in their trucks, eating out, and I didn't count, if you look at that chart in there, you'll see I was very conservative on it, because I know there's a lot of local guys that fish, so I didn't figure everybody ate out. But that one day is worth about $6,200 in tax revenue to the county and the city. That's what we do here. In the Bass Club, like I said, we put the bill on advertising, marketing, everything of that to help support the community, because y'all support us and we want to say thanks.
That is some singularly good news. We got 3 new teams in 3 high schools here in, Franklin and Coffee in Grundy County now. And it wasn't too long ago that we only had the one in Grundy County, and 2 Franklin County high school students were able to win national championships while competing for them.
Right. We understand that apparently there was some issue in getting this fishing club started before. We heard from some parents that were asking why we had to have our Franklin County students going and doing the tournaments with Grundy County. So we're excited that we have this new event and another way for the kids to have something else to do outside of school.
Well, the real benefit of that is the numbers. When the school was denied the first time, they denied a group. They have to have a minimum, I think, of 7 or so members.
Right.
And when they first tried the club at Franklin County High School, they only had 5 or 6, and they didn't meet the minimum standards.
Yeah.
That was about the same time that the Gay Straight Alliance Club was coming into being, and people were a little confused over the fact, well, you let this club in, but not that club. They
Right.
didn't get it, but that did get straightened out. I think the new principal went very aggressively at Roger, very aggressively to get kids into the system and to get them on board and have the right kind of interest shown. This is a
Right.
great program for Franklin County.
It is, and no one was ever against the program. Like you said, it was just a lack of interest, and that was probably just a lack of being able to get out there to let them know that this was available. So hopefully, we inadvertently maybe helped with that a little bit to let people know that there was interest in this club, and they were able to get it started for this year. So we're excited to see what they do.
And good for the kids. Now let's talk about the grown-ups, and I'm going to bring up this this Herald Chronicle, our local newspaper. Has a headline, "Did Deckard violate the Sunshine Law?" This news company, the Franklin County Buzz, reported at length last week about the violation of the Sunshine Law. The Herald Chronicle followed it up with a story that says, well, no, they didn't, but then they wrote an editorial. Very unusual for our local newspaper to editorialize like that, by the way. I was very proud of them, really, for
Right.
stepping forward and stating an opinion on something. This is what newspapers are supposed to do. I know when I worked for Charlie Sons, I couldn't put a newspaper to bed that I didn't have a
Editorial in.
homegrown editorial in it. So we miss those kinds of opinions from our news community, and I'm very happy that the Chronicle did it. Now, back to the meeting. Floyd Don Davis and Robin Smith can chatter all they want about the fact that, well, there was litigation talked about there. The open meeting law says that if you're going to talk about water rates, that is a separate issue from your litigation conversation. If the litigation, and I intend to find that out, by the way, through the Freedom of Information Act, what litigation is involved. The city does have to tell the public what litigation they're involved in. Mm-hmm. I suspect they're involved in no litigation. I think that's another charade or deception, however you want to frame it, Robin, that the city is pulling just to keep people from talking about the increase. And, people are worried about their water rate increase. Let me tell you something just quickly about the surcharge. Every month, each meter holder pays $10 a month for that meter, over and above their water bill. These rates do not affect the surcharge. The surcharge continues. it will continue until it expires in 2044, by which time you, Deckard water payers, will have paid the city $8.1 million. Want me to say that again? $8.1 million for a $1 million loan. Way to go.
And
So,
do I understand correctly that that what has been paid in so far, which is significant, the money that's sitting in the bank from that surcharge right now is not going toward the loan? Do I understand that correctly?
No, they're paying off the loan using water funds for it. The water department already has too few funds, which is why they're having to raise their rates. But of more interest than any of this is one of the customers in Deckard uses 9 million gallons a month, or 75% of all the water that the Deckard Water Department produces is used by one client who has 3 meters. Last October, the city of Deckard withdrew $300,000 from that slush fund bank account that's full of surcharge money to pay for a water treatment study or evaluation or something like that. Of the $300,000, the one customer that uses 75% of all the water that the Deckard Water Department uses, they use 3/4 of the water. They paid $559 of the $300,000, which means that the other 1,675 customers, we paid $299,400, and this one customer that uses 9 million gallons a month, or 75% of the water, they only paid $600. So we'll have more conversation about that later, and if there is to be a lawsuit challenging the city to collect that, then we will give you information as to how to get that then. But I think that we opened on the Herald Chronicle editorializing on this subject.
And that's interesting because the editorial content was really the opposite of what was in the front page story that said, so one says that the Sunshine Law was not violated, and the other says that they, at the very least broke the spirit of the law by talking about the water rates, which is not true. They absolutely violated the open meeting law if they talked about water rates. That's not violating the spirit of, it's just the way it is. And, but the front story that said they did not, they simply quoted Floyd Don Davis as saying it was not violated. So the newspaper themselves didn't actually say that they didn't violate the Sunshine Law. They just quoted someone else as saying that. And, and it's our contention that they absolutely did. And we've read over and over the open meeting laws, and really they're only allowed to discuss litigation if the city is named, number one. They can have a closed meeting, and once they move from the recommendation of the attorney to discussing, well, what are we actually going to do? What is our, what is our move to address this litigation? Then it has to be open again. So, we're going to stand by what we said, and that is that the open meeting law was violated. So,
and it's not the first time Deckard did it. Deckard gave away Second Avenue to a local businessman who walked into a meeting one evening and says, I could use that street that goes in front of my business. How about you just shut it down? And it wasn't on the agenda or any item, but they just said, well, sure, we can do that, and they voted for it, and gave away the property. So that's what they do with historic Deckard, is they give it away to whoever asks, I guess. But anyhow, enough about Deckard. We've got some real business to talk about, and I'm going to remember George Fraley. The late George Fraley was a county executive here for a number of years, and in 1992 I was a fresh reporter at the Herald Chronicle, oddly enough. Maybe I was at the Tullahoma News then. And George brought me in, Dick, I've got some great news. He said, Franklin County is now worth $1 billion. So its property evaluation since its founding, when Moby Dick was a minnow, to 1992, we brought our property values up to $1 billion. Now, Tina went out and visited with our county assessor, Bruce Spencer, and to find out about this year. Every year that ends in a 2 or ends in a 7 is a reassessment year. And our county assessors, all 95 of them, have to get out there and evaluate, reassess every single piece of property. And it's not an easy task, but let's go and see what Tina found out when she met with Bruce the other day.
Thank you, Dick. I'm here with Bruce Spencer, Assessor of Property at Franklin County. You want to tell us a little bit about the reassessment year?
Well, first of all, I'd like to just welcome you here
Thank you.
and be happy to share some information with you guys.
Thank you. We appreciate that, and
Yeah.
I'll let Bruce take it from here.
Yeah, first of all, concerning the reappraisal, we're in our, Franklin County is in the 5th year of our reappraisal. Franklin County, it's on a 5-year cycle. Our last reappraisal was 2012. Of course, currently we're in 17. This is the reappraisal year for the county. And I just wanted to say that a reappraisal eliminates inequities that are created over time by changing the real estate market, and it ensures fairness.
Thank you,
For all
Dick.
the
I'm here
property
with
owners.
Bruce.
Over time, a property
Yes.
market value can increase or decrease. If the assessor of record of a property market value does not change with the market, some people could pay too much while others may pay too little. Reappraisal keeps our property tax system fair. That's why the state of Tennessee requires Franklin County to conduct reappraisals every 5 years. And I'd like to just share this map with you. This is a map of Franklin County. It's a grid, and this is a 4-year process that we go through. We started back in 2012. That actually takes you down part of the way. Then we go into the 2nd year, 3rd year, and 4th year. The 5th year, the assessor and the staff, the appraisers, were actually working in conjunction with the State Division of Property Assessments, and we're doing analysis and reevaluating those values. But just kind of wanted to show you this. We actually go through and monitor and put our eyes on all the properties in the county. But as you can see, it takes some time to do that. We have approximately 26,000 partials, and it's a big job to try to get all of it covered. But we do a lot of visual inspection and verify all the property sales, making sure that they're arm length sales, and we go through all the analysis and those reports and that data and working with the State Board of Equalization and the division.
Okay, Bruce, you talked a little bit about the process of reassessing the property. Is there anything else you can add to that? Kind of walk us through step by step how you do that?
Well, with our local staff, we have a staff of 6 here, and as I was saying earlier, we gather that information after viewing properties, and if properties have changed, if someone's added, like for example, an improvement they've added onto their house, during that process of monitoring, then we pick that up. Unless it's one of those cases where they've got a building permit and we're aware of that, or we notice it just riding down the road, and then we're able to pick that up. And the same type process works in if someone, for example, they have a detached garage and they want to, it gets in bad condition and they have to remove it. We obviously want to get out there for the taxpayer and make sure that we note that and take that off of their tax liability. Okay. So we're trying to certainly be fair and equal to all of our taxpayers here in the county.
Okay. About how how long does the process takes? About 5 years, which is why you have so long in between
It
the
is.
assessment.
It is, that's an agreement that the county has with the state, and it's, to my knowledge, that's been going on for a number of years, that type of an agreement.
So you mentioned the state. What role does the state play in this process?
Well, of course, we work with the state of Tennessee, the comptroller's office. We work regularly with the State Board of Equalization, and of course, we work daily with the Tennessee Division of Property Assessments. Their regional office is in Murfreesboro, and we get a lot of support and help and guidance through that office or through the national office.
So when will the new notices go out to customers?
We, by state law, we have to send out change assessment notices, and those will go out in the spring, probably mid to late April. And every taxpayer, whether their value changed up or down, or even stayed the same, during the reappraisal year, everyone gets that change assessment notice. During the other 4 years of the cycle, only taxpayers that are actually, the values increased, do they get one. So we actually send out everyone that owns a partial, a property, they will actually get a change assessment notice. After, and like I said, that's towards the end of April.
So in the past 4 years, property owners may not have received an assessment if their property rates didn't change or go up.
Right. For example, if your property had no changes on it, you would not have received one. But this year, because it's the 5th year, it's a reappraisal year, every taxpayer will receive a change assessment notice.
Okay, so if a property owner disagrees with the assessment, what recourse do they have?
Well, they can certainly contact this office. They can come in and talk to me or one of the staff about that. But they also have, if they're not satisfied or we can't do anything about it, they can actually go make an appointment with us, and they can bring their concerns and appeal that to the local county board of equalization, which meets the first 2 working days of June.
Okay. So this is the first reevaluation or reassessment since you came into office. Has this been kind of a scary thought or intimidating for you?
Well, it hasn't been intimidating. It's been challenging, and we look forward to continuing the process and trying to work for our county and our taxpayers, and to try to make sure that the values are fair and equal for everyone.
And so this is the first year of reassessment, but you've actually been at this process the whole time you've been here because it's a 5-year-long process.
It is.
How does if you are in the tier that's the first grid, say that happened 4 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
how is that different for the persons in the first grid as opposed to the person in the 4th grid? Is there likely to be any major changes in those 3 to 4 years in terms of property value, or how does that work?
There's no difference, if I understand your question correctly. Our county is so large, and all counties, all 95 counties will have different types of monitoring plans. It just takes, with the size of our county, that's the plan that the county and the state has agreed to years ago, and it's a 4-year process of actually monitoring the property. I like to refer to it by putting your eyes on each one of those partials, and there's no way you could do it in a year.
Right. You said there were 26,000?
We have a little over 26,000 partials in Franklin County. We actually are growing and adding partials, whether it's a new construction or someone has some acreage out here and they want to split some of that acreage off. They've sold it, or and somebody's building a home. That creates another partial. So we're actually growing.
Yeah, I'm sorry if my question confused you. I guess to be more clear, what I was thinking in my head, and maybe it's not even applicable because I don't really understand how the property assessment goes, but if my property, say, was in the first tier and it was 4 years ago that property was assessed, and say in the meantime a large grocery store came and built on the property next to me, and so, but you haven't looked at it since that happened, so that won't matter until the next 5-year process when you come back out and look again.
Right.
So, and I don't think that necessarily matters. Maybe.
Well, it's that illustration is a good point, good question. No, your property would not be affected at that time, but it will be reevaluated in that reappraisal cycle.
So the next time around it would affect it.
It would definitely, depending upon what kind of properties they are, but yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Bruce. We appreciate your time.
Oh, you're more than welcome, and thank you for coming.
Okay, back to you, Dick.
Hey, thank you, Tina, and thank you, Bruce. And now we know all about how our property is going to be worth more today than it was yesterday. And I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, maybe not for paying the taxes, but I mean, if your property is worth more, that's always a good thing.
Yes, indeed. And we'll follow Bruce along and see how that turns out. The state eventually will tell the county how much money they can charge, because sometimes if the property valuation goes up quite high, and if they keep the same tax rate, they'll get an enormous amount of income from it. And there's a limit as to how much they can expand it at any one time. And
Okay.
the state will help work through that. So, and what else do we have today, Tina?
Well, I just wanted to go back for a second to the Deckard
Deckard
story, and not so much about the story, but the time for the next Deckard meeting in the Herald Chronicle says February 6th. It's actually February the 13th. According to the Deckard City website, it's on the 13th. You may want to call and clarify and get the right information, and that's 931-967-5181.
Exactly. Those are the numbers.
And we'll be there. So.
And we'll be happy. They'll be happy to hear from you.
Mm-hmm. And before we go to our closing story, I just want to also take a moment to let people know about a scam that is stretched out even far beyond the state of Tennessee. It's just been a really big problem. We've seen multiple police agencies coming on Facebook, and I think I maybe even posted a story on our page. But it's called the Can You Hear Me Now? So, people will call you on the phone and you lose connection all the time, especially if you're driving through Estill and you have AT&T. So, you say, someone will ask you, can you hear me now? And when you say yes, what they're doing is recording your voice. And then they will use your voice to access different accounts and, and commit fraud against you. So, the authorities are telling us, don't say yes. Just say no. Actually, don't say anything. If you suspect, if it's a number you don't recognize, you're not talking to someone that you know, do not say anything. Just hang up the phone.
And an easy tip that if you get if your phone starts ringing, it's a number you don't recognize, Google that number, and it will tell you by and large who's on the other end. Assuming it's going to be an institution that's trying to dig you for something.
Right, and there's plenty of websites that also make note. People report when they're getting phone calls or solicitation from these numbers, and so you can see that when you Google it. But just let it go to voicemail. That's why we have it. If it's something important, they'll leave a message and you can call back. So just keep yourself safe. It's really easy. Just don't answer the phone, which you shouldn't be doing if you're driving through Estill anyway.
That's right. You shouldn't be doing those kind of things. So, and for our last item this morning, we paid a visit to a friend of ours, whom you would think was in the pig business, but he's not. Michael, have you got that?
Next Friday, February the 3rd, we're going to start at 11 o'clock. It'll go to 4:30. We're going to have cheese, chili, hot dogs, moon pies, and a lot of good food. We're going to have 2 hogs to give away again this year. And if you guess the total weight of the 2 hogs, you get the hogs. And of course, they're going to be live as always. We'll have plenty of room for all the people. We want everybody to come by. We're going to have good food, good fellowship. We're going to have a little gossip. We're going to have a little politics. We might even talk about newsmen or something. You never know. But there'll be something for everybody. We've always had a good crowd. We want everybody to come see us. And I don't think we'll run out of cheese. As you can see, this is 70 and a 40-pound block of cheese. That's 110 pounds of cheese. And we're going to slice it up and give it away. Scott's cooking our barbecue, and I think he's cooking a whole hog to give away. We're going to have our standard chili, and we'll have moon pies. No telling what all we'll give away. But we're going to have music. The Baxter Brothers are furnishing music as we always do. And we'll start at 11 o'clock February the 3rd, next Friday. And we'll go to 4:30. And we'll tell everybody that we have 1 guess per person. You have to guess the total weight of both hogs. And we're going to have some pretty good sized hogs this year.
And be there or be hungry. Let me tell you, the food that they put on, the chili, those cheeses, the crackers, and then of course the Baxter Brothers are in the back room with their music.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a party. It's a great big party. There'll be between 750 and 1,000 people there.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
This Friday is the time.
11:30 to 4, I believe it is.
And last year, do you remember? I couldn't hear the interview, and I can't remember how much did the hogs weigh last year?
I remember.
You remember?
Let me say that at 1,350 pounds was the guess last year. Actually, it was 1,349, I believe. So if you're looking at 2 big hogs sitting in that pen, don't poke them.
They weigh a lot.
They weigh a lot. They're pigs. They're supposed to weigh a lot. And
There's going to be, I think, some good barbecue there this year. Is that right? Is there going to be barbecue, or did I misunderstand?
Potato, every kind of food.
Scott's cooking.
Scott's cooking. All right, that's the news there.
Yeah, we've had some of Scott's cooking. It's pretty good barbecue. So come on out and join us. We'll be there, I think.
Yeah, we're going to be there.
I think we'll be live even. So
we're going to shoot a little live section, and then we'll probably do some video throughout the day so that we can wrap it up and show everybody what a good time they had.
Yeah, and so we can eat.
We are going to eat while we're there. Yes, we are.
And, so I think that's it for today. I know we probably didn't go as long as we normally do, but as we said, we're packing things up and clearing things out of here, and we're going to bring you probably another update, a video update a little bit later on today, and tell you a little bit about what's going on with the Buzz. We're not closing down. Nothing bad's happening. We're still growing. In fact, the last 28 days, our reach has been well over 200,000. So we're not going anywhere.
Thank you. Thank you very much
Yeah.
for picking up on us. We appreciate your glances on your smartphone.
Yes. Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you.